Today on Outside the Box Reviews, by request, we are looking at the Machete figure by NECA. This figure is what I would refer to as kind of an end of an era with NECA. I have no confirmation on this, but I feel like this figure was made back when the Grindhouse movies first came out and the trailer for Machete was debuted. Several years later, we got the actual Machete movie, and that's when they released this figure. But looking at him, he looks a lot like the older stuff NECA used to put out. Kind of good sculpt, but not quite as good in the articulation as they've gotten to it these days. He definitely feels like an antiquated figure. I freaking loved the movie Machete. It was such a ridiculously fun movie. I'm really glad we got an action figure from it, even if it is a little old style. But the figure bears a really good resemblance to Danny Trejo. All the kind of scarred, wrinkly look to his face, his tons and tons of tattoos on his arms here. Did pretty good getting the detail on him. The vest here isn't removable, but you can see the beginnings of the woman with the sombrero tattoo on his chest. I don't know whether that's fully painted underneath or not. This vest isn't exactly a soft material. It's a little pliable, but it's not like a rubber piece. So there really is no way to even get a good look to see if that tattoo's all the way there. But as I said before, the expression's good. The paint job's really nice on him. He looks like he should. He has a really cool windswept, blown hair look going on. The hair is soft rubber, so it is pliable, but as you can see, it's all blowing this way. Even take a look at the back, it's even more swept. The clothes as well are kind of pulling to that one direction. I believe this is supposed to be from the scene where he's on the roof of the limo. I think in the trailer he actually throws his machetes down to kill somebody inside the limo. I think they changed it for the movie, but I believe that's the scene he's based off of here. See, he's got all his little throwing knives on his vest here. They're not removable by any means, but it's cool that they're there. Now, there's a lot of nice detail on it. He's got his belt buckle. The pants are pretty bland. I mean, they're well sculpted. They got a little bit of detailing and weathering, but nothing extraordinary. He's got his dirty work boots on. His gloves are nicely detailed. His fingerless gloves. And he's got a little separate piece here. It's not removable without taking the head off, but he has his little necklace going on. For the machetes themselves, NECA did a good job. Tons and tons of blood. There's two different ones. This one is kind of a broader edge to it, and a dip up here. Like I said, nice blood splatter. Pretty well detailed handle. You got the rivets in it and all that. There's a little bit of paint error here where the silver of the blade goes onto the handle. But nothing too bad. The other one is more of a standard looking machete, like something you'd see with a Jason. Though these are fairly tiny. I was honestly expecting we would get something kind of reused from a Jason figure, but these are a lot smaller. Once again, nice blood splatter on them. Rivets on the handle. Well done. They sit pretty tight in his hands. They look good in his hands. They don't really look tiny. The entire figure is kind of built on a smaller frame, which I like because Danny Trejo isn't really a very tall guy. For articulation, he has a ball-jointed head. He doesn't have a whole lot of up and down in it. I guess it's decent compared to some other figures, but not a whole lot. But you get left and right and all that good stuff. The hair doesn't really hinder anything since it is soft. He has a ball-jointed kind of mid-torso here. It's under his vest, but not at his waist. You can kind of use that in place of waist articulation. He has good range of motion in his shoulders. You can get up and down, 360. As I said before, it's kind of the older style on NECA stuff, so we have no elbow joints. Really disappointing. He does have ball-jointed hands. And then his legs are permanently posed in this kind of crouching position, but he does have ball-jointed feet. And the thing that disappoints me about this is, by the time this guy had come out, I kind of got accustomed to NECA doing stuff like the Predators and the Terminator figures that have a little bit more articulation, and you can kind of do a lot more with them. This guy is so scene-specific. I mean, you can't even really get him standing up straight. As high as his back will go, he's really still crouched down quite a bit, and then you could have him bent down lower. But I was really hoping we'd be able to get him standing with his back, straight up and down. Since he is such a smaller figure, he really tends to get lost in a display based on both his height and his pose, which is really disappointing. This figure is far from perfect. It feels so much older than some of the stuff NECA's been doing. But for my own personal feelings, I'm so happy we got a Machete figure at all. I mean, that's a really easy property for NECA to have passed up on. And honestly, I kind of expected them to, and maybe for their part they should have, because I know this guy was a major peg warmer. I went out and picked him up like the first day I could find him. I was worried I'd never find him again, he'd be a hard one to get. No, sat around shelves forever. I'm sure there's still Toys R Us's out there where you can go pick this guy up off the shelf. Possibly even on clearance. But I really do like him. But I don't think I could really recommend him. Quite honestly, I feel like I kind of over-recommend things on this channel. That I'm pretty lenient with figures, and I think to some degree that needs to change. So this is marking kind of a turning point in this. I'm going to not recommend this figure. If you're a huge fan of Machete, a huge Danny Trejo fan, it's a cool figure. But it's just not NECA at its best, and he's kind of an obscure character, and I feel maybe this was the cheaper route to go. Maybe it was easier for them to use this. Maybe it was an old mold or whatever, and they just figured, might as well release it to cash it in the movie, make a few bucks. But it's just not up to standard, and I think with a character like this, if they'd made it an awesome figure and given it full articulation and kind of done what they've done with at least the Terminator line, maybe keep the legs statue-ish, but give him more articulation in the upper body and all that, he would have come across as a better figure. Maybe he would have had some more appeal outside of Machete fans. As it stands, he's just kind of there. Thank you for joining me for another Outside the Box review. I'll be back soon with more figures.